Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at something pretty cool and pretty popular these days.
Yeah.
We're diving into the world of AI and chatbots, more specifically ChatGPT.
Sounds good.
You've given us a pretty fascinating stack of sources here, including some excerpts from the book ChatGPT Money Machine 2024. It seems like it's kind of like a beginner's guide to understanding and leveraging this AI
Yeah, absolutely.
for different purposes.
Yeah, it's a great place to start for sure.
So I'm excited to unpack all this with you, see what nuggets of knowledge we can uncover.
Yeah, and I think it's really smart that you're not just interested in like the hype, surrounding ChatGPT.
Right.
You actually want to understand how this thing works
Yeah.
and maybe even use it yourself. And I think that's really smart, especially given how much AI is already impacting our lives.
Absolutely. And speaking of impact, one thing that really jumped out at me from the sources is just the sheer scale of this technology. Did you know that running ChatGPT costs OpenAI a whopping $700,000 per day?
Whoa, I know that's a lot of money.
It's a serious investment.
Yeah.
But it seems to be paying off because we're seeing this so-called GPT gold rush happening.
Yeah.
People are finding all these creative ways to use ChatGPT to generate income.
Yeah.
And the potential seems almost limitless.
It really does, yeah. And it's not even just about the money. I mean, ChatGPT is like a huge leap in what we can do with conversational AI.
Yeah.
Because it can generate like really human quality text on the fly, not just from pre-programmed scripts. It's amazing.
Right.
So many possibilities.
Okay, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I think it's worth taking a step back and making sure that we're all on the same page here.
Sure.
Because the source mentions all these terms, AI, ML, NLP. Can you just give us like a quick breakdown of what all those are?
Of course. So think of it this way. Okay. AI, which is artificial intelligence, is basically just the idea of machines performing tasks that we thought only humans could do before, like thinking and problem solving. And then machine learning, or ML, is a part of AI, where computers learn from data without having to be specifically programmed for every situation.
Okay.
So like imagine teaching a computer to play chess by showing it millions of games instead of like programming it with every single possible move.
I see.
That's machine learning. And then there's natural language processing, or NLP.
Right.
And this is what lets computers understand and process human language. So that's how your phone can understand when you say, "Call mom," it understands what you mean.
So NLP is what gives ChatGPT the ability to have these really natural flowing conversations.
Exactly. That's what sets ChatGPT apart from the older chatbots, Those were mostly just using pre-programmed responses and really struggled with anything complex or nuanced.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the book also talks about different types of AI, like narrow AI, general AI, and then super AI.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain the difference and maybe tell us where ChatGPT fits in?
Of course. So narrow AI is what we mostly have today. These are systems that are really good at one specific thing, like playing chess or recommending movies on Netflix. ChatGPT is a type of narrow AI because it's amazing at understanding and generating language, but it doesn't have like a broader understanding of the world like a human does.
So it's kind of like a chess grandmaster that can beat anybody.
Yeah.
But they can't tell you how to make an omelet or something.
A perfect analogy. Then you have general AI, which is this idea of an AI that can do any intellectual task that a human can. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
That's still pretty much science fiction, but, people are working on it. And then there's super AI, which is this hypothetical point where AI becomes smarter than us in every single way. That's the scary one.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit like a Terminator movie or something.
It does, doesn't it? It raises all these questions about the future of humanity and what our relationship with AI will be. But, let's focus on what we have right now. One of the things that really struck me from your sources was how much AI is already part of our everyday lives.
Oh, absolutely. The book gives some great examples like voice assistants,
Yeah.
Google Maps, those kind of creepy personalized social media feeds.
It's amazing, right?
It's crazy.
We interact with AI all the time without even realizing it.
It's like AI has become this invisible force
Yeah.
that's shaping all our experiences, influencing our choices, even predicting our behavior.
Yeah, it's kind of unsettling when you think about it.
It is. But let's shift gears for a second, talk more about ChatGPT itself.
Okay.
You mentioned that it's driving all this innovation, even creating these money-making opportunities. Why is this particular technology making such a big splash?
I think there are a few reasons for that. First, ChatGPT can generate high-quality text on pretty much any topic. And it's better than anything we've seen before. It can write emails, articles, code, you name it. And it often sounds like a human wrote it. This opens up a whole world of possibilities for anyone who needs to create content, whether it's for personal use or for their business.
Right, and that explains all this buzz around ChatGPT for like writing blog posts or creating marketing materials. But what about this like gold rush aspect? Can you actually make money with this thing?
From what I've seen in your sources, yeah, it's definitely possible. People
Yeah.
are using it to automate all sorts of tasks, create content for websites and social media, even build entire businesses around it. I've even seen people claiming to make thousands of dollars a month using ChatGPT.
Wow.
Now, it's always good to be a little skeptical,
Right.
but there's definitely potential there.
It's just crazy to see how this technology is empowering people to create new ways of making money
Mm.
and even like disrupt entire industries. And speaking of accessibility, I was really interested to learn that OpenAI offers both free and paid versions of ChatGPT. It's like they're trying to make this technology available to everyone.
Yeah, I think that's a key part of what's going on here. They're democratizing access to AI, so it's not just for big tech companies. Now anyone can get their hands on it, and I think that's really exciting.
So it's kind of like a level playing field now, where
Yeah,
anybody with a good idea and some motivation can tap into the power of AI.
exactly.
The source mentioned some pretty impressive stats about ChatGPT's user base
Hmm.
and OpenAI's potential valuation.
Yeah, they are pretty mind-blowing.
Can you share some of those with us?
Of course. So, according to your sources, ChatGPT has over 180.5 million users around the world,
Wow.
and OpenAI is on track to be valued at $90 billion soon. Those are some big numbers.
Yeah, those numbers really put things in perspective. But is this just hype, or is ChatGPT really a game changer?
That's the question, isn't it? But your source definitely seems to think it's the real deal. It highlights all these success stories of people and businesses using ChatGPT to achieve amazing things like creating popular online courses, automating their marketing, even creating content for their YouTube channels. It's pretty impressive.
Okay, this is where it starts to get really interesting. Let's dig into some of those real-world applications and see how people are actually using ChatGPT to make money and reach their goals.
Sounds good.
But first, I think we need a quick break. We'll be right back to explore the practical side of ChatGPT and how you can start tapping into its power.
All right.
Okay, so we've laid some groundwork here, understanding the basics of AI and what makes ChatGPT so special. But now let's get to the good stuff.
Okay.
The ChatGPT Money Machine 2024 book that you gave us really dives into some interesting ways people are using this technology to make money. So what are some of the most common and accessible ways to use ChatGPT, especially for somebody who's just starting out?
Well, the book highlights a bunch of different approaches, and a lot of them don't even require any fancy technical skills.
Mm,
One of the most popular ways is using it for content creation.
okay.
ChatGPT can draft emails, write blog posts and articles, even create really engaging social media posts. It's amazing. And the book even compares the time it takes ChatGPT to do all this to the average hourly rate of a freelance writer. So you can imagine the potential savings there.
So instead of spending hours like agonizing over a blog post,
Ah.
I could just use ChatGPT to pump out a first draft
Exactly.
and then just go in and tweak it a little bit
Yeah.
to make it sound more like me.
Yeah, that's the idea.
That sounds like a huge time saver,
Mhm.
especially for someone like me who really struggles with writer's block sometimes.
Yeah, and that's exactly where ChatGPT can really shine. It's a fantastic tool for brainstorming and getting past those initial hurdles,
Yeah.
to get those creative juices flowing. The source also talks about using it for things like generating marketing copy, writing product descriptions, even creating scripts for videos. Basically, anything that involves writing ChatGPT can help you do it faster and better.
So it's basically like having a virtual assistant that never gets tired and is always ready to go.
Pretty much, yeah.
But it seems like the possibilities go beyond just writing. The book talks about people using ChatGPT to build entire websites
Yeah.
and even create apps. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So the really cool thing is that ChatGPT can generate code in a bunch of different programming languages. So this means you can actually use it to build simple websites, apps, and even Chrome extensions without needing to know a ton about coding yourself.
Really?
Yeah, there's this one case study in the book where this guy built a whole recipe website using content generated entirely by ChatGPT.
Oh,
I mean, it had recipes, images, even monetization strategies built in. It's pretty wild.
that's incredible. It almost sounds too good to be true. But the book actually gives specific examples and even outlines the steps to create a website like that. So it seems like with a little bit of creativity and some experimentation, ChatGPT could be a serious tool for building online businesses.
It really could, and the ChatGPT Money Machine book is full of inspiring stories of people doing exactly that, taking this tool and applying it to real-world problems, finding creative solutions. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, let's be realistic though for a second. Not everybody is going to become a ChatGPT millionaire overnight.
Right. It's important to have realistic expectations. It's not a magic bullet, you know. It takes work, experimentation, and a willingness to learn.
Hmm.
And you have to remember that ChatGPT is still being developed, so sometimes it can be inaccurate or biased or just plain wrong. So you always got to use your own judgment and double check what it's giving you, especially if it's something important.
So like any tool, it's only as good as the person using it.
Exactly. But with the right approach and a bit of caution, it can be a game changer.
Okay, now let's talk about the technical stuff for a minute. The source dives pretty deep into this concept called prompt engineering. Can you explain what that is and why it matters so much for using ChatGPT effectively?
So prompt engineering is all about how you talk to ChatGPT. It's not just about typing any old question. You have to understand how it processes language and structure your prompts in a way that gets you the best possible results.
So it's kind of like speaking ChatGPT's language.
That's a great way to put it. The source really emphasizes being clear and specific, avoiding vague prompts.
Right.
So instead of asking, tell me about space, you would say something like, summarize the latest discoveries in exoplanet research.
I see.
Or compare and contrast the missions of the Hubble and James Webb space telescopes.
No, the more specific I am, the better.
Exactly. The more specific and targeted your prompts are, the more accurate and relevant ChatGPT's responses will be.
The source also talks about this technique called prompt chaining, which sounds pretty fancy. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so prompt chaining is basically linking a bunch of prompts together so that the output of one prompt becomes the input for the next one. It creates a more conversational flow, like you're
Okay.
building on each response. So let's say you wanted to have ChatGPT write a short story
Okay.
about a time traveler who goes to ancient Rome.
Interesting.
You could start with a prompt like, describe a character who's a historian obsessed with ancient Rome, and then you could use the output from that to create the next prompt like, imagine this character discovers a time machine and decides to travel to ancient Rome. Describe their arrival and first impressions.
I get it. So you're basically building the story piece by piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a really cool way to tap into ChatGPT's creativity and create something much more complex and interesting.
Then just a simple response to a single prompt.
That's exactly right.
The source also talks about controlling the output format. Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, one of the best things about ChatGPT is that it's super versatile. You can tell it what format you want your output in, whether it's paragraphs, bullet points, code, or even different writing styles. So like if you need a list of key takeaways, you can just tell it to give you bullet points. Or if you're writing a blog post, you can ask it to write in a specific style, like informative or conversational or even humorous.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about getting information. It's about getting it in the way that I actually need it.
Exactly. By mastering prompt engineering, you can really make ChatGPT work for you. You're basically communicating your intentions and
Yeah.
making sure the output is not only accurate, but also formatted in a way that you can actually use.
All right. So it's clear that prompt engineering is the key to unlocking ChatGPT's full potential. It's more than just asking questions. It's about crafting those questions to get the most valuable and insightful responses.
Couldn't agree more. It's like becoming a skilled communicator, not just with humans, but with AI too.
That's a fascinating way to look at it. It makes me wonder how learning to talk to AI might even change how we communicate with each other. But that's maybe a discussion for another time. Right now, I think it's time to dive into some of those success stories. From the ChatGPT Money Machine book, I'm excited to hear about how people are actually using this to achieve some pretty amazing results.
Yeah, me too. Let's do it.
We've talked about how people are using ChatGPT to build these websites, generate content, and even like create whole businesses. And the ChatGPT Money Machine 2024 source that you provided has a bunch of really inspiring success stories. So what are some of the ones that really stood out to you?
One that I thought was really cool was about this software engineer named Skylar. He used ChatGPT to make this whole online course, teaching people how to code, and within like a few months, he was making thousands of dollars a month from it.
Really?
Yeah, and the crazy thing is he'd never made an online course before. He just used ChatGPT to like generate the content and structure the whole thing.
So it's not even just about technical skills then. It's more about using ChatGPT as like a creative partner to
Exact.
bring your ideas to life.
Yeah, the source also talks about this other person
Uh-huh.
who built a whole affiliate marketing website using ChatGPT. They used it to write product reviews and
Yeah.
comparisons and even create landing pages. And in just a few weeks, they were making passive income from it.
It's amazing how much ChatGPT can automate, like from writing content to marketing to even sales.
Yeah, it really
The
is.
book is full of examples like that, like
Yeah.
people using it for their YouTube channels to get more views and subscribers, or writing and publishing a children's book that became a bestseller.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, but let's be real for a sec. There have to be some downsides, right?
Of course, you got to remember that ChatGPT is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for the wrong reasons. So the source is careful to say that you shouldn't rely on it for making big decisions
Right.
or for creating content that could be harmful or misleading.
So it's all about being responsible
Yeah,
and using it ethically.
exactly. You have to be aware of its limitations and always double check what it gives you, especially with sensitive information.
And I'm guessing it's super important to stay up to date on like the latest developments with ChatGPT.
Oh, absolutely. This technology is changing so fast.
Yeah.
And there are new things happening all the time.
The ChatGPT Money Machine book is a great starting point, but you got to keep learning and experimenting to really stay ahead of the game. Speaking of learning the source, give some good tips for getting the most out of ChatGPT. Can you share some of those?
Yeah, one cool thing is that ChatGPT has a memory, so it remembers what we've talked about before. And you can use that to your advantage, like when you're writing something long or working on a complex code script.
Oh, so it's kind of like having an ongoing conversation.
Exactly. Each interaction builds on the last one.
That makes sense. And the source also recommends using keywords strategically, so ChatGPT knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like giving it little hints to make sure it stays focused.
And is there anything I can do if I need to remind ChatGPT about something we talked about earlier?
Yeah, totally. You can just straight up say something like, remembering what we discussed earlier about X, and it'll access that information.
That's really useful.
And one last tip, don't forget to give feedback. Tell it if a response is helpful or not, or if it's just totally off base. That helps the AI learn and get better over time.
So we're like the teachers then for our AI assistants.
In a way, yeah.
It's amazing to think about this collaboration between humans and AI.
It really is. And as AI keeps evolving, this collaboration is only going to get more important.
That brings me to this question that I've been thinking about. Like, what does the future hold for ChatGPT and AI in general?
That's the big question, isn't it? And I don't think anyone has a crystal ball. But one thing's for sure, AI is going to play a huge role in our lives moving forward. It's going to change how we work, how we learn, how we interact with the world.
It's exciting to think about,
Hmm.
but also a little bit scary.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to consider. But I think the main takeaway is that we're entering this new era of human AI collaboration. And it's up to us to make sure we use it for good.
Well said. It's been an incredible deep dive, exploring ChatGPT and all the potential of AI. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
My pleasure. And to our listener, keep exploring. This field is full of possibilities. Who knows what you might create with the power of AI at your fingertips?